I worked 13 years in retail, and one of the most ridiculous tasks that I had to do for my job was I had to run around the entire store with a really big scale and weigh my coworkers. That's right. And this was a company-wide thing. There was one person in every store from this billion-dollar retail company. For those that don't know, retail is a place that sells groceries, t-shirts, televisions, and so on, right? So think a big box store like Walmart, Target, Ralph's, King Soopers, etc. Now, in a bit, I'm going to get into why I had to weigh my coworkers and what the company incentive was and all of that fun stuff. And what you're looking at on the screen right now is a free MMORPG called Albion Online. It's just used for background footage, so at the time, I was not a retail manager. I was just a price changer. I was in charge of peeling all the stickers off the shelves to, when you go shopping, you look at price tags in a store and changing out the signs on the ends of the aisles. And the company had an incentive where they were to weigh the employees, and what this was for is so that the company could either save money or raise rates on the health insurance, which was bad for the employees. And it was a way to incentivize fellow employees to lose weight so that the overall store's health would increase, and thus productivity would increase, and the company in question would lose less money. And this is a very greedy retail company. I won't name and shame them though. And I was trying to climb the corporate ranks, the corporate ladder, and get promoted, so I was a yes man, and management approached me and they asked me if I wanted to go around and weigh my coworkers, and I was like, yes sir, absolutely, anything you need, right? Oh man, what a wild ride this is gonna be. So the other incentive was that we all had to wear a pedometer, and for those that don't know what that is, it is a small device that you would clip to your belt or your pants, and as you walk around, it counts your footsteps. Now, we were only allowed to wear the company-approved pedometer, which was taken out of our paychecks for $40. It was optional. It was opt-in. You didn't have to do it, but you were heavily incentivized to do it because if you didn't participate, then you weren't a team player and you weren't going to get promoted, and you would get less hours and less favoritism from management and scheduling and all that fun stuff. So those that have never worked retail, basically, if you aren't absolutely on board with everything they ask and tell you to do, you get the short end of the stick, you get all the crappy work hours, you get all the crappy everything. These pedometers were only worth like $5 to $10 and on Amazon, but they were charging us $40 and we had to wear them. So it's just another way for them to make money. But anyway, on with the stories. So the way it worked was during the workday, I had to make time out of my own job because retail works you to absolute death, okay? Like I was running all over the place. I was really good at my job though, so I did have a little bit of extra time to burn. And I would have to approach my coworkers when they have also small amounts of time to burn between their back-breaking laborious job. And I would have to, set a scale down in front of them, and then I had a little clipboard with a list and like kind of a mini spreadsheet of all the employees' names and how much they weighed, and then they would step on the scale. I had to make sure that they weren't shifting their weight around or, had too much like equipment load or anything, like if they had a bunch of like box cutters and other things that might alter their weight. They had to take all of that off, take everything out of their pockets and so on, and then step on the scale, and I would record their weight. The employees were also required to record at the end of each workday how many steps they had taken at work. They were not supposed to wear the pedometer outside of work, only during work hours. And then that later changed to just be during your entire, your off hours as well, which I think the company got in trouble for, and it also messed up the results, but hey, it's one of those upper management corporate level decisions that they changed at the last minute because someone wanted to feel important at a meeting one day. And so later on, I would have to record their steps as well, and a lot of people were very competitive with this little pedometer thing, okay? My job, I had to run all over the store consistently, so I averaged around 20 steps in an 8 to 12 hour shift a day for 5 to 6 days a week. Whereas someone who just stands at a cash register wouldn't have any steps, and so they weren't on the leaderboards. And corporate would have these little things like, oh, the person with the most steps per store gets a little gift card, woo, right? And I was actually the guy that had the most steps, but corporate never ever delivered on these promises. Not once. I have so many retail stories. If you go ahead and sub to the channel if you like these kind of videos. If not, don't worry about them. But they never ever paid those gift cards to me. Not once throughout my whole career. So let's get to the awkwardness of it all, because whenever I approach a coworker, especially if it was a female coworker, and some coworkers were like, hey, can you look away and let me write down the weight? And then I was like, you realize I can just look at what you wrote down for your weight, right? Like, there's no avoiding me knowing what your weight is. And some people would opt out because they were just a little too awkward about it. I wasn't like an imposing guy at the time. I was actually pretty small framed. I was maybe 140 pounds. I didn't have barely any muscle on me. I was mostly a marathon runner build, and so I was kind of a smaller man, not really imposing. But I guess some people are just, they're just timid about their weight, right? And so those that were really, really, like, they didn't want other people knowing what the weight was, because I had to turn this into management, which we also had to type it into a computer system, which would be available for the entire district openly to see. Like, I can go online into the stores, what's called an intranet. It's kind of like an in-house internet that's only connected between the stores, and I could pull up files on any other employee in any other store and see how much they weighed. It's really a breach of privacy, honestly, but it was opt-in, and you did have to sign a whole bunch of waivers and little contracts before you could do it. And like I said, you were forced to do this, because if you didn't, well, guess what? When evaluation time rolls around, you're getting a low score, Buster. And then management was incentivized out of their own pockets for whoever lost the most weight during the program. This wasn't a continuous infinite thing. This was just maybe for like a year tops. It didn't even last a full year, because too many people complained about it, and corporate just got lost in the sauce and does what corporate does and forgets about all these little things. And boy, would you have it, keto was the really big trend at the time. It was really popping off on all the social medias, and oh boy, we had some big boys that were doing the keto diet, which I personally did it for 2 years, but it did lead me to get kidney stones. That's another story for another time. Not going to talk about that here, but the people that were already on a weight loss program, already working hard at the gym and losing weight, were going to win this contest anyway, whereas I was underweight technically, so I had no chance to win that one. But like I said, corporate never paid out on their promises anyway, and even though this was just a managerial out-of-pocket thing, they still never paid for it, because they barely made a livable wage. I think managers at the time, this was many years ago, they were maybe making $35,000 a year, and that's like barely a livable wage, man, I'm telling you. And these guys had, families to feed, they had, cars to repair and rent to pay and whatnot, and they can't be fronting, prizes to people who are losing weight, whatever, I don't know, maybe they should have made those promises, but corporate kind of forced them to make those promises, alright? I don't mean to make this a big rant video about corporate and how corporate sucks, but it's real. Like, people think that retail hell is all about dealing with bad customers or bad managers. The real, ninth level of retail hell is dealing with corporate. So anyway, my job as the price changer guy, because I was highly mobile and able to go around the whole store freely throughout the entire day, I got to talk to all my coworkers essentially, and I would weigh them, and some people were very proud about their weight. Some people wanted to snoop. They're like, hey, can I see how much Susie weighs? And I'm like, no, you're not allowed to see that. And they're like, come on, just tell me, man, just tell me. I wouldn't tell them. I was very honorable in my work, and I wouldn't leak such information, because I wouldn't want someone leaking such information about me if that was something that bothered me. It didn't. Obviously, I told you how much I weighed earlier in the video. Anyway, so I would roam around towards the back of the store, and there's in the back rooms of a retail store is called receiving, which is where all the trucks pull in and unload the goods, right? And in that back room, there was a little designated, not really designated, it's an unofficial smoking area. Of course, that's not the case anymore, times have changed, but back then it was a smoking area. And I would go back there, and there would be 5 or 6 people, on their smoke break, and because they're just sitting around or leaning on walls or chilling, they would be shaking their pedometers to increase their step counts, right? And then some people were also pretty devious. They figured out that if you attach the pedometer to a chain and let it kind of bounce and dangle against your hip rather than being secured on your belt or pants, that one step would give you 10 steps, okay? And the funny thing is that all these people that cheated still couldn't get more official steps than I did, because I was very honorable. I had it tightly secured to my belt, and I still beat them at step counts because my job just required me to run all over the damn store. But back to weighing people, I had to do this in the middle of the day. It wasn't like the store was closed. It's not like we went to a back room. Sometimes the employees did, we would go to the little employee office area, the employees only zone, or just somewhere in a back room and do it, which was just awkward on its own. It's like, why am I in a back room with this person, weighing them in a dark, like cold dairy cooler, right? This is weird, okay? But sometimes we would just, because, we didn't have a lot of time to do this and we had to do it, okay? So it would be like rush hour, you got 2 cashiers that called and customers are screaming at us, and I would have to throw down the scale and be like, hey, real quick, while you're ringing up this customer, just stand on the scale. And they'd be like, ugh, and then the customer would be like, ugh, what are you doing? Check me out. Stop this nonsense. And I'm like, well, we have to, I'm sorry. And it was just a whole lot of problems. People would leave customer complaints, which I wasn't a manager at the time, so I don't really care, but then sometimes customers would see me because they knew what I was doing, because, I would talk with them and stuff, and they would be like, hey, can you weigh me? And, they would just use my scale to just check their weight, and that became like a habit. Like, they would come in the mornings and they would shop and they would check their weight because I guess they didn't feel like buying a scale at home, or they just wanted a reason to like mess with me, because that's another thing too, is customers use retail employees and fast food employees too as a means to their own entertainment. I'm talking like they will make it their day to try to just mess with you. It's like they're sadistic or something. I don't know. Like, I'm a video game troll. I kind of get where they're coming from, but it's not something I would ever do to a real life person in real life. But these people, they would do it to us. They would treat us like objects. And, I was just, I drank the Kool-Aid, I smiled and I just kind of, I tanked it like a man, I guess. But remember how I said I had coworkers that would like ask people's weight? Well, even though management had access to these documents, they would still like buddy up with me, because there's like locker room talk, there's men's talk. As a guy myself, you may not experience this as a woman, but when you're in a room with only men, the conversation gets a little different. It gets a little wild sometimes. And I would be in the office with the managers, and the managers in their young 20s, they're fresh out of college, they're gym bros, they're they get drunk on Friday night kind of dudes, and they'd be like, hey, so what do you think about Susan's weight, huh? How much she weighing these days? And, I'd be like, well, she's this weight. I don't know why I'm using a raspy nerd voice, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? You think you can get her to lose more weight? They're trying to like paint it like they're just caring about the incentive of the store. I'm like, yeah, I'll try to get her to lose more weight, dude. Right? I don't know why I'm suddenly Morty, but yeah, these guys, they're like any other dude. They're a little thirsty sometimes, and they would creep. They would be like, oh, so this one's the lightest weight girl in our store. Look at that. And I'm like, why does it care? What are you obsessed with the scale numbers? Come on, it's all about who a person is. And they wouldn't listen. They're like, oh, you'll learn, man. You'll learn when you get older. I don't know why they have a raspy smoker voice, but there were some creepy managers in retail, I'm telling you. And then some of them were very weird about it. Like, they would make it where I had to not watch them step on the scale, and they wanted to write down their weight. And I didn't care too much. I wasn't super upholding of the rules. I just wanted to be pals with all my coworkers and be easy to work with. And I wanted everyone to like me, because I technically had to talk to everyone in the store, and I didn't want any cliques to form against me. And, I figured the more I networked, the faster I could move up and get the hell out of the stores, which sadly never happened. I did reach management at some point, but by then the retail is way too far gone with rules and regulations, and just too much crime and shoplifting. It's just horrible. And, I'm a pretty good judge of weight. Like, if you've ever went to those, like carnivals or, like, big theme parks with roller coasters, there's always that, like, little booth where you have the weight guesser. He'll look at you and guess your weight or your age. And I was always really, really good at that kind of stuff, right? I could normally nail someone's weight just by looking at them by about 3 to 5 pounds. Okay, I was that concise with being able to judge people's weight. Just a random skill, just an observational skill. I don't know where I got it from, maybe 4chan or something? And I did have a few coworkers that were very obviously lying, right? They weren't supposed, like, I was supposed to look at the scale as they stood on it and write it down, but, like I said, the shy ones who didn't want to get in trouble, and I felt bad because, I can't be like, oh, well, you're not participating correctly, sorry, you're out of the program, right? I didn't want to do that to them, because then that puts them on the shit list, and when you're on the crap list where the managers don't like you and you're a non-participant, basically, your life becomes hell. And retail is already hell, so I don't want to make it any worse for my coworkers, right? Now, as time went on, because this went on for almost a year, is the store got incredibly fierce with this weight loss program stuff to the point where people were at each other's throats. It got brutal. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Like, occasionally coworkers would like bring in a box of donuts for everyone to enjoy, or maybe they might make a homemade dish and share it with their coworkers in the break room, or with the management, or just walk around the store and be like, hey, look, I made some homemade candy, you want to try it? Yeah, sure, why not, right? But all of that changed when this program really divided the employees, because when this program happened, people that brought in donuts were villainized. They're like, how dare you bring in donuts? They'd they would a regular coworker, like just a cashier, would bring a box of donuts in to be friendly and nice, right? And then management would be like, get to the office now, like really loud and mean over the intercom. I'm not joking, I'm not making this up, this is real. And then they would slam the door and they'd be like, what the hell are you thinking bringing those donuts? Don't you understand we're supposed to lose weight for corporate, and if we don't lose enough weight, then our insurance premiums are gonna go up, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the funny thing, too, before I continue that story, is that, yes, this whole point of weighing people and, checking their health, was to incentivize people to have better health so that we can have better health insurance. And the company did report that the program was massively successful, and that out of the entire company, there was a lot of weight loss and a much, much healthier employee base. But what happened is the insurance got worse in terms of quality, and the price almost doubled. So our paychecks were really being hammered hard from this health insurance that we had to have. It was mandatory in our country that we're in. We don't have an opt-in or opt-out. It's just, you're losing like an extra $1 an hour to pay for the insurance. Sorry, bro, huh? And the higher up in the company you got, the more you had to pay. So the managers were inking out over $100 extra a week from their salary, because they're salaried, and like that's $400 almost a month that they were losing. And then just regular hourlies were paying anywhere from $20 to $60 depending on their rank, if they were like a supervisor or a department head, and so on and so forth. But yeah, management would just absolutely scream the heads off of any employees that were dared bring in unhealthy snacks. And, I was a price guy, so I got to go to some of the corporate meetings and stuff, and instead of having lots of pizzas and sandwiches and cookies and ice cream and sodas and all the, good stuff, like they would order like giant things of Chick-fil-A and have lots of Chick-fil-A sauce. It turned into, okay, so for the meeting we're gonna have salad and we have sandwiches without the bread. And it's like, what? So we just have salads and deli meats. And even then they cut out all the meat in the salad. Like they basically, corporate used it as an excuse to just slash the snack and food budget, because used to, you'd go to these meetings, you'd have like peanuts on the table and like chocolates and lots of little food and sodas and drinks. And like, if you've ever seen those obnoxious TikToks of the woman that works in tech where she goes and gets her eucalyptus towels and she eats a bunch of weird foods and sits in a quiet room and plays ping pong, it's not quite to that level. It's just, hey, grab some tasty snacks off the shelf, scan it out through the store, and then throw it, because the meetings were always done at a retail store, like in the back rooms. Like, we would have to drive sometimes upwards to 200 miles to these meetings, sometimes across certain lines of travel that divide territories. I'm not going to say what that means. You can figure it out. And oh man, we had, we'd drive to some store, some fancy pants store, and then we'd, go up into their office or their break room and have a stupid meeting for something that they could have just emailed out. It was a complete, absolute, and utter waste of time. There was no reason to have these meetings where I had to drive hundreds and hundreds of miles in my absolutely crapper beater car that would break down or overheat, or the radiator would explode and, shoot out liquid everywhere all over my windshield. So almost every time, like, just driving crappy cars, man. Like, I worked retail, I was poor, I'm still poor. Anyway, with that said, like, this retail was absolute hell. If you ever have to work retail, never ever get promoted. It's not worth the money because of all the other hassle with corporate and management and just all the stupid crap. And regardless of, being a yes man or working as hard as possible to get promoted, just don't. It's all about your availability, which I had open availability, but it's all about luck and just, who knows what. Almost everyone promoted in retail is they're someone's friend of management. So you just have to work on being social and being cool with your fellow manager bros and corporate bros, and that's how you truly get promoted in that kind of line of work. It's not your actual work habits or your numbers or any of that stuff. So if I could go back and tell my past wagey self, do not do the weight challenge thing. Don't be the little wagey that yes mans and goes around the store weighing people, because apparently a lot of stores had problems finding people willing to do such derogatory stuff, and management ended up having to do it. But so many people are uncomfortable with management doing it that there was a very low turnout of active participants. But because the store I worked at, everyone trusted me and liked me. Well, most people trusted me, but everyone sure did like me. I was a very likable guy in retail, you know, just a happy little, you know, go with the flow nerd guy, you know, completely innocent and inconspicuous. And no, I didn't get any incentives. I didn't get a pay increase. I wasn't paid extra. It was just extra work on top of what I had to do. And if I had a busy work week where I was short help or short hours, which was usually the case, then I had to bust my, you know, I just had to run all over the store to try to get this done every single week. And then if people weren't scheduled around when I was scheduled, because I worked both mornings and overnights due to my job, because, you know, like I said, I changed the prices on certain days. The entire store's prices all change, and I had to work overnight to get it done. But the other times I have to maintain prices and, you know, fix signs and new displays that get built up during the day. So I had to be there in the mornings, afternoons, nights. I basically lived at the store. So I was like the perfect guy to be able to get this job done. But out of all of retail random stupid crap, it is probably one of the most awkward things I've had to do. And I wasn't very social at the time. I didn't have too much confidence. I was still, you know, in my early adult years. So it's like, hey, can I weigh you, please? Like, you got a moment so I can weigh you, dude? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, right? And sometimes people will get really upset because you know, they would always try to cope with why their weight increased if I'm weighing them. And, you know, because I was supposed to also talk with them about like, oh, it says here that you've gained 2 pounds in the last week. What's going on with that? And they'd be like, well, you know, it was my cousin's birthday and I ate like half the birthday cake or something, you know, just something like that. And they always felt so shameful for it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just doing my job. I'm just following the little prompts here that corporate sent out, and I'd show them the sheet about all the talking points I'm supposed to do with people and stuff like that. It's an absolute shit show, okay? Like, imagine if you worked anywhere else, like if you're a doctor, if you're a construction worker, if you even work at McDonald's. I don't know if McDonald's would do this kind of thing, but retail, I swear it's like a social experiment sometimes. Like, who the hell in corporate thought this was a good idea? You know, the whole point was that they told us was that it was to lower insurance premiums, and it ended up raising insurance premiums even though it was a positive result. I don't understand. It just makes no sense. It's like we're being psychologically tortured in retail for someone's amusement. I don't know, but maybe you found this video amusing. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to keep talking about it. There's really not a lot more left. I make videos every day on this channel, so if you want, you can subscribe right now, and you'll have a video every day to watch if you're bored, hungry, or you just want to listen to me rant about whatever. I do play a lot of video games. This is mostly a video game channel, as you can see in the background. This is Albion Online. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you found this video. I read every single comment. I have like 67,000 subscribers right now. I have no life, so I still read every comment. I may not reply to all of them, but I do read all of them, okay, guys? Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you want to help me out monetarily, because I don't work retail anymore and I've never qualified for a better job, and YouTube does not pay the bills. I don't get enough views. I don't have sponsors in the video. I hate that stuff. So click the thanks button down below and drop me a monetary donation. It'll show up in the comments and make you a cool guy. If I ever get really big one day, Mr. Beast style, you know, maybe I can pay you back in double for your donation troubles, right? That would be a really fun and cool video. Back when I was a small YouTuber, I got donations, and now it's my turn to give them back in double. And then, I don't know, wouldn't that be neat? Don't think of it as an investment, though. You know, just help me out if you can. If you never had to work a crappy wagey job, or maybe you did work a crappy retail job, and now you're a big hot shot in a corporate, you know, cubicle somewhere making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd really appreciate it if you did. You can also become a channel member. I'm a gaming channel, so all my channel member videos are gaming related. If you play Albion Online or other MMORPGs, it might be worth it for you. If you want to become a YouTuber and learn how to edit and the settings I use and how I make videos and stuff, I got a video on there too. There is a playlist in the pinned comment. If that interests you, you can become a channel member. Click the join button. That's $5 a month. If you're familiar with how Twitch works, you pay like $5 to subscribe to a channel. But on YouTube, it's channel memberships. It's way better than Twitch. Trust me on this one, okay? With that said, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video. Leave a comment because I read every comment. Make sure you're subscribed because I got videos every day, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.